Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chalk Talk. This is a part 2 from our first one, where we discussed free agency, trades that happened, our initial reactions from both a real life perspective and then also fantasy implications from these moves. So I guess we'll just get right into it. We kind of talked about Davonte Adams last time, but there was some news. There's blockbuster trade to the Raiders. And I guess we'll start off whether it's a fantasy, implication or real life, what do you guys think of this move by the Raiders mainly, I guess? Sounds like Davonte wanted to leave.
I mean, real life implications. I'm curious what Rodgers is like.
Yeah, I think Rodgers knew.
Yeah, he was aware.
He must have, right? Like the timing was too late that and they're apparently such good friends off the field. You got to
right. They knew.
Which I will applaud Davonte Adams because he could have said no to the franchise tag and just become a free agent and totally screwed over Green Bay and just signed with the Raiders. But at least he signed the franchise tag and then he's like,
trade me.
Actually, I'm not playing for you guys. I want to trade. So I'm sure he planned that the entire time. He had to have, because they traded him 2 weeks later or whenever that was.
Yeah.
So I'll give him credit there. If I was a Packers fan, I'd be furious. I guess they didn't treat him he asked last year, do not franchise tag me. And they franchise tagged him last year. It's like, don't do it again. I want a long-term deal. And then they did it again this season. So
it's more than fair.
I'm wondering, what do you guys think? I guess we'll talk. So with Adams gone from the Packers, do you, from fantasy, Rodgers definitely a downgrade.
Significant.
He wasn't already the best fantasy quarterback, but definitely a downgrade after this.
Yeah.
Upgrade to, when we find out who the main receivers are in Green Bay, he'll probably spread it around a lot more, I'm guessing, than he had.
I gotta think they're gonna try and get a Jarvis Landry, OBJ, one of these other guys.
One of them up
around. Yeah,
that'd be funny. Jarvis OBJ reunion in Green Bay.
So
no complaining if it doesn't go well with Aaron Rodgers. Then we know who the problem really is.
Oh yeah.
No.
All right. What about
a lot better with Stafford? So
now, what about Davonte Adams? So has
definitely
to be downgrade.
Yeah, fantasy stock definitely downgraded. I mean,
no longer the number one.
Yeah, Carr cannot compare to Rodgers.
Yeah.
He's just not going to be. I mean, he's going to probably get.
I'm thinking number wide receiver 4.
He's still top 5, no question.
Yeah,
just on talent alone.
They have chemistry, so it's not like they.
Yeah.
I mean, they played 4 years in college, or
it's
3
not.
years.
I would say you'd still have to you'd put Kupp ahead of him. You'd put probably Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and one other ahead of Adams, but he would still be top 5.
I just wonder how many concussions Davonte Adams and Darren Waller are about to give free safeties this year.
That's a big
trying to stop that duo is going to be a tough day for all those little safeties and cornerbacks out there. They're going to have trouble.
My honest take is I don't think it was a smart move by the Raiders, but that's just in most years.
2 first rounders.
No, it was a first and a second rounder.
First and a second.
But it's more of in most years, it would be great. The Raiders would be one of the best teams in the AFC, possibly. But it's just the landscape of the AFC right now. It's Davonte
you don't
Adams,
just lay down and
I mean, they saw what else was going on in the division.
You had to make a big.
You have to be competitive.
Why are you going to be content with mediocrity? Why
not?
You made the playoffs last year?
Yeah. You have to be competitive. You cannot tell a fan base that you just moved to Vegas and then you're basically just going to lay over because your next door neighbor just got a new Ferrari. It's you got to
it wasn't just your next door neighbor. It's all of them.
That was a great way to put it.
Carr is not the answer. He's not.
He led him to the playoffs last year, PB. I understand like the division looks different now, but like
Also
that's
had
the
no
I'm
NFL.
always
Like,
of a belief you should be building for your future, not just mediocrity and just to
It's-
appease fans. That's not how you
Okay.
successfully win in the future.
wait, okay, why are they playing for the future? They're playing for next season. They're playing for the
But
season.
you can't
after this.
win. That's what my point is.
Okay,
You
so
can't
let me ask you this: can you win the Super Bowl in March?
What?
Can you win the Super Bowl in March?
I don't even know what you're asking.
Can you win
Simple question.
the
No,
Super
you
Bowl?
can't win a Super Bowl.
Okay,
in March.
thank you. You have to play the games, right? So who
Yes,
cares?
know
but
what
they're
could
not. You
happen.
need to strategize. Like it's a dumb move.
Getting a top
Devontae-
5 wide receiver isn't strategizing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the best strategy.
He's
Stock the
29
pond
years
with
old.
great
We
players.
know he's
He's
29
he just
years
had
old.
he just had a great year.
Okay, he's
Yeah,
29
they
years
made the
old.
playoffs.
You start to decline, and then you could have used that pick to position yourself when these teams are starting to fall off and they're paying all their rookie quarterbacks these
They're gonna
extensions.
need
Then
a-
you take the leap when you have
Okay.
your rookie.
Okay, so let me ask you this, PB. Okay, so going into the next year, are you trying to win games?
You're trying to win games, but you do it by you could draft a rookie. You could and then position yourself in the future. See what the rookie has. He doesn't have it next year. You do the same. You do it until you have a future. Derek Carr is not it. I don't know if you think Derek Carr can win
I
your Super Bowl.
understand
That's
like
on
your
you.
old Derek Carr stick. Like, is he going to be your new Matthew Stafford this next year? Because like
No.
it really doesn't make any sense. Last year we saw Derek Carr as a top 3 or top 5 fantasy quarterback for the first quarter of the year, and that was with Hunter Renfrow as his wide receiver one.
Are you
and
one?
you're
Are you
going to
pulling
give him
stats out of your
Devontae
ass?
Adams. You're going to
Are
give him
you pulling
Devontae
stats
Adams
out of your
and tell me
ass
he's gonna
talking
be
about
worse?
Derek Carr being a relevant fantasy quarterback? No one's drafting Derek Carr as a top. What?
I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Everyone overlooked him, and what did he do? He put up.
He
top
was
5
not. Let's see where
performances.
Derek Carr finished in
Look it up.
fantasy last year.
Look it up. I saw a trade go through last year. Derek Carr for Josh Allen. Questionable.
Quarterback.
Biggest fleece of all time.
questionable,
Biggest
But
fleece
I'm
of
saying
all time.
at the time, if you look back, you could say, okay, like it. If you're looking at
Here,
QB rankings,
so
obviously someone
where
got
do you-
a little fleeced there,
Wait,
but
where do you think Derek Carr was?
he was
He
a
was
top 5
he was
quarterback
out of the
through
top
first-
12.
in the first quarter of the year.
Why does that matter?
Because he had good success when Darren Waller was healthy, and now you're adding Devontae Adams instead of Hunter Renfrow. He's going to be good, and he's going to be a lot better. He did very well with.
Okay,
a
you'll
limited
draft. I want to
weapon
see
set.
you drafting Derek Carr in all of our drafts. Then
That sounds good. I mean, he's got Devontae Adams. He's not going to do.
I'll take him in
bad.
the 15th round.
just in the future, we can come back to this and know who said don't draft Derek Carr, and then you who said to draft him.
I mean,
mean-
fantasy impact wise, he definitely went up. So like, if
Oh
you have
yeah, no, I
any sort of-
agree. Derek Carr is a boost, Adams a downgrade, Rodgers is a downgrade, other Packers receivers is an upgrade. I think Aaron Jones, Dylan's an upgrade. Probably that's probably more of the upgrade on the Packers, if anything. Because I could see Aaron Jones getting peppered with a lot more targets. But
Okay, one last thing, then we can move on from this whole saga because I just had to ask you one more question.
okay.
Okay, from a team that went from basically fringe playoff team 2 years ago to making the playoffs this past year and still having a very good defensive line, one of the best in the NFL, a pretty good, second core in the secondary, and your offense was missing one, maybe 2 pieces for weapons. And
But
you're saying,
it comes down
hang on,
to
hang on,
quarterback.
let me finish. And you're saying like you made the playoffs and like now you have to be competitive in your division. Like you can't take a step backwards. You have to try to move forward and compete with these teams.
And this is my point. I think they are moving backwards by stepping forward. That's my thinking. You have to, like, my point is always strategizing. And you like right now, they're all trying to compete with each other. You say, okay, I'm going to take a step back, like strategy. You say, all right, let them battle it out these years. But once this tide turns, they're going to be behind us and we will be the number one.
Okay,
That's
So
how
should
you
they just lay
strategize
down
yourself.
for a decade because
Not a decade.
Mahomes is going to be there for 9 more years.
and Justin Herbert.
Yeah,
And you got Russell
Yeah,
Wilson
but
for
they're gonna-
another year.
so
They're
what
gonna
are you
have to
just going to
start
lay
paying those
down?
quarterbacks,
Come on.
and you need to find your
That's
quarterback.
weak.
You need to find your quarterback, and
He's-
Derek
he's-
Carr is not leading anyone to a Super Bowl. Okay, that's it. They're not leading anyone
We
to a
don't know
Super
that.
Bowl.
You
don't know
literally
that yet.
don't know that.
Joe Flacco, I'm pretty
Jimmy
sure went
G.
to multiple Super
That-
Bowls.
what,
so-
what was the quarterback landscape at the time? This is like the golden age of quarterbacks. When was the year that you had this many good quarterbacks?
Tom
Like-
Brady, Peyton Manning, like
Big
Name,
Ben.
like, where you
let's
have,
talk
like,
about
10.
the golden age of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
real
Yes,
quick.
it is.
No, it's not.
There's so many.
There's a
good
lot
ones.
of good ones, but there's always been a lot of good ones. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning in his
That's
prime.
two. That's two.
I think Big Ben was crushing both of
You
them.
couldn't name at any point 10.
Aaron
quarterbacks.
Rodgers.
10 at
Aaron
one
Aaron
time.
Rodgers, Big Ben.
10, I want you to name 10 at
Drew,
one time.
let's throw in Drew Brees. Like,
Drew
give
Brees.
your guys some credit, PB. Come
10
on.
at one time.
I would have to give me a second. Just let me look, and I'll show you. But
Philip
There's
like,
never
Rivers,
been a time, but
Stafford.
this is gonna take forever if we keep going on about
All right.
Davonte Adams.
let's move on.
Well, the next one we have is Desean Watson, biggest trade of the offseason. Browns fan Nick over here. I mean, there's not really there's fantasy implications for the Browns for sure. It's not really for the Texans. We didn't have them last year. So I guess, what do we think about the move? Was it worth it? We'll start with the Browns fan, and then we'll go from there.
I think we got a ton of young talent that we could block down. We're starting to put some guys on long-term deals. So I'm not too worried about the draft picks because we have such a young team. Maybe in a couple of years, we'll figure out, maybe we trade. So for this initial next year, I think it was a nice offseason, revamping from Jarvis and Baker to Desean Watson and Amari Cooper. Two big upgrades. We already have debatably a top 5 defense, a top 5 O-line, and a top 5 running back core. And you just improved your wide receivers. You trimmed some of your fat in Austin Hooper. Love that.
He did.
I don't think they're done either. I think they're going to go get a Will Fuller and maybe draft a guy in the second round.
What are your thoughts on Amari
third
Cooper's
round, who
fantasy
knows?
value?
What?
Amari Cooper's fantasy value.
I think the problem with Amari Cooper has always been the injury. The skill and talent has never been in question. So, right now he's competing target share as Njoku. He'll probably get 3 to 5 catches a game. And Donovan Peoples-Jones, same story there. There's no one else on the roster yet. So at this point in time, he looks to kind of be 15 targets a game type of guy.
Yeah.
I always feel
10.
like Amari's been a guy that's like underperformed for what his expectations have been since getting into the league. Like,
He was so good on the Raiders and like he crushed it.
for like 1 year.
Yeah.
Like 1 year, and then like didn't really do anything.
It's
on the
if he can
Cowboys.
play a full season. That
Yeah. He's just like always like ailing some injury. He's never at 100%.
I don't think he's a true number one. I think he
don't
needs
either.
someone else there to
Yeah, I
basically
agree.
take off pressure. Like when CeeDee Lamb was playing and they were both playing together, like he had some of his best, like this past 2 years were like good when he was on the field. When he was by himself, it just seemed like he didn't seem like he had it.
Still a
that
top
means-
25 receiver though.
No.
I think he's a top 10 fantasy receiver.
Oh, but I'm saying, well, okay,
Yeah,
fantasy
it's
wise,
fine.
yeah, I'll give
And,
you.
in real life, I think he's top 10 too. Or I mean,
I think he's fringe.
agree
He's
with
fringe
that.
top 10 for sure. But
Up
I
there.
think
his route running is top 5 easy.
I mean, you
He's
get
incredible
at this
route
point,
runner.
like a lot of our good receivers that are like
I disagree with that.
evergreen are starting to get old. Like DeAndre Hopkins, the regression has
He's not a
coming
top
to
10 guy
fruition.
either anymore.
you know what I mean? Like a lot of those
How
guys.
old
are
is
kind of
Hopkins?
there's like a dynamic
Thirty.
shift in.
Amari's not even that old.
Yeah,
Amari
that's
and
what I'm saying. That's
Calvin
why I think
Ridley are the
Amari-
same age.
So he could be top 10 because I mean, outside from like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, like some of those young guys, like he's
Amari's
pretty
only
much up there for the
27.
future.
Yeah, him and Calvin Ridley are the same age.
Yeah, I think Amari still has some great years ahead of him, and honestly, it's a great pairing with Watson. If he's able to stay healthy for a year, he's easily a top.
How many
10
games do
fantasy.
we think Watson's going to be suspended still?
I still think he's going to get suspended. Is the thing.
There's like 6 to 8.
Yeah,
the
somewhere
fact
in
that they're only paying $1 million this year shows that they're
Yeah.
kind of
He
sketched.
could be out a whole year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We got Jacoby Brisket though.
I saw that. You got
Yeah.
the brisket.
Honestly, great
Don't hate
backup
that.
quarterback. Like one
Yeah,
of
I mean,
the best backups in the
He's
league.
he's
Yeah.
very good at running the quarterback sneak. But other than that, woo, baby. Don't let him throw the 10-yard outs because they ain't going.
Dude, he was
nowhere.
killing it that year he played with the Colts. They had him starting.
Yeah. Well, he also negotiated his own contract and fleeced us, but that's okay.
Yeah, I was going to say
Good
killing
for
it
him.
and robbing the Colts. Then yes.
2 years. We gave him 2 years, $30 million. So
I mean, the Colts love to overpay their shitty quarterbacks. So
okay. Well, first of all, I don't know.
Nothing.
We haven't had an
honestly,
issue
though,
for a while.
Nobody has said this
Really,
yet
Carson
because-
Wentz
Carl
wasn't
Wentz?
an issue.
ring a bell.
Yeah,
Okay, I meant like before this time, like we didn't have an issue.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It
speaking
was a
of the
hopeful
Colts,
moment, but
speaking of
it
the
didn't
Colts,
last
that's
long.
a perfect transition to the next move, and that's the Falcons. See, the Falcons, they knew what they needed. They needed a blow up ship. They're going in the right. The franchise is finally heading in the right direction. Mariota is just like a temporary, they just a fill in guy, but they're going to be signing a quarterback, whether it's this draft or next one, getting some weapons finally. But they needed to blow that franchise up. They did. Sent Matt Ryan to the Colts. Colts obviously are in like a tough spot because they have a solid team around them, but it's just
I think they could win that division.
They could.
Definitely.
Could.
I actually
Same odds as the Titans right now.
Yeah, no, I think that they could just like go a bit farther than last year. Like when they didn't make the playoffs, I think they could limp in with Matt Ryan, but I just don't see it farther than that. What do you think, Corey, Colts fan?
I mean, again, like
Is Matt Ryan the answer?
You make all these judgments. I mean, he
Corey,
can be.
If
He's
you think he is, just say Matt Ryan is at his age after like he's gonna win the Colts the Super Bowl. Just claim it. Just claim it as yours, and then that's it. But you do this thing where you're just like, he could, but he very well could do it. Just claim it. If you think he can do it, just say it.
No, he can definitely do it. I don't know.
I
don't have to. What? I don't have. No. The reason I'm not. Hang on. Time
having
out.
a belief in something, and I don't think he is.
You asked me a
Ryan
question.
Can't win a
and
Super Bowl.
I can't even put in 5 words.
Walk
So
on eggshells.
So the reason I won't do that is because you just want to put this in your little phone and be like, look what you said, Corey, back in March. You said Matt Ryan could win you Super Bowl, and you guys went 3-15. Like,
but that's the point, though, is I'm not afraid. Like, if I think what I believe, or I say what I believe,
I know
for some reason hide it.
You
like
make insane accusations.
But you can do the same thing. Is my point. If Matt Ryan wins the Super Bowl, right? You could just clip all of this and say,
I know, and I will.
Okay, but that's the point. Is like you, for some reason, walk on eggshells.
I don't walk on eggshells.
He's 1-for-1 on calling the quarterback to have a breakout year and the Super Bowl champs. He was calling Stafford this time last year too. So
yeah,
as far
he was
as we're
saying
concerned,
MVP. That did not happen.
Chalk talk.
Didn't even win Super Bowl MVP.
Okay. We're not okay. So the Matt Ryan thing. 1, we got him for free. 2, we're paying him less money that we will be paying Carson Wentz. We can still bring in other key positions now. Yes, we took a little bit of time to get to this point, but we also waited, and we knew like the quarterback market right now. There was 2 guys you could get. It was Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. Everyone else was like basically same tier. There was no one else to even better than that. We didn't have the assets to get Russell Wilson, nor could we afford. Well, we probably could afford Aaron Rodgers if we really wanted to, but I don't think that was like a dream. That was like winning the lottery. So what they did best, again, it's a sinking ship right now in the quarterback position, and we're plugging the holes with. I mean, Matt Ryan. Yes, he's not like this top 10 talent anymore. He was. He's only thrown for less than 4,000 yards in 2 years. 1 was last year, and he was 22 yards short of that. And the first time was his rookie year. Every other time,
Carr throws a lot of yards too.
All I'm saying is he's a leader. He's a leader. Obviously, they like him more than Carson Wentz did because there's issues with leadership in the locker room. And if all he's doing is being a game manager, which we have one of the best running backs in the league, one of the best offensive lines in the league. And if we can just get a little bit more talent on the offensive side, go out and grab one of these free agent receivers. I mean, for God's sake, I wouldn't even care if we went and got Julio for a prove it deal, 1-year deal. I mean, they have chemistry. I mean, why not?
6 games. You want 6 games out of Julio?
That's fine.
I
Give me
think-
6 good games. That's fine.
I think you're calling Will Fuller home back to the state of Indiana here.
Yeah, see that the issue with Will Fuller is his hamstrings are made of
That's
glass
literally
or
Julio
rubber
Jones.
band.
Yeah,
That's
but you guys
literally
love
Julio
that
Jones.
I'd rather take Julio
You
Jones
why?
than Will Fuller.
You guys love no hamstring.
Give me Jarvis Landry. I mean, we made trades this year. You know, we traded with the Raiders to get Ngakwe.
Yannick Ngakoue.
Ngakwe. Yeah, and we got rid of
Oh,
Rocky
Yannick.
Sin. So, I mean, we're definitely making progress. I mean, we're not making like the splash free agencies. Like, you know, we had $70 million to start with, but that's never been Chris Ballard's like MO. He's always been a very meticulous guy with a plan. And he's never, I mean, yeah, his record's 42 and like 41 as a GM with the Colts, but like his literally his first year, Andrew Luck retired 9 days before the season. And he's been trying to figure out a way
To
just
replace him.
No, not to replace.
That's what
He's
you
not-
need.
Okay, but we have the roster to win right now. This goes all the way back to the Raiders.
Exactly.
All you have
It
to
does.
look
You're
at-
right.
All
it
you have to
does.
look at, PB, is did the team get better from the offseason? And I think you could clearly say yes.
Yes.
And they're going to have a shot at the
I would say they
playoffs.
got one game better than Carson Wentz. Yes.
No.
That would have got him in the
And I think
playoffs.
the Titans got like
and that
4
exactly.
games
It would have
worse.
limped in the playoffs than early round exit. That's
Never
know.
That's the
You
Colts.
You
never
never
know.
know. That's the
One
thing.
game.
People thinks he has a crystal ball, and he's like,
I'm just,
"Oh,
but
look at this, guys!
It's
I
not
have all
about
this."
like it's not about like knowing it's gonna happen. It's about very likely outcomes. And if you can like the
That
Colts,
don't always happen. Go
I'm
ask
just-
St.
NFL
Pete.
lives on parity.
Go ask St.
Like,
Peter.
the
in
entire
Sweet
league is
16
about
how
parity.
and
that
St.
went.
Peter's is not going anywhere. They will not win the championship.
They
But-
got to the Sweet 16 and they have like 5,000 kids at that school. Come on.
Okay, that's
We play-
that's good.
we play the
But
game for
I'm
a
saying
reason.
even
It's as
those
simple
teams'
as that.
roads will end. Like,
You play the game to win. Everyone's doing
well, you
it.
have
Every
to
team
in
the
March.
league.
Like, what you?
That's it.
That's college basketball. That's different. Like, you're not
It's-
building
It's
rosters.
just sports and competition, and it's just
Yeah.
like the number
You-
one
you have
theory
this-
of competitive athletics is like you compete to win because you don't know the outcome.
Okay, so hang on. Let me
Don't care
bounce
about
this off of
Vegas
you.
odds of things that doesn't always hit.
You strategize.
Let
me bounce-
Competing-
All right, hang on.
Okay,
Hang on. In that division,
This is a horrible podcast right now.
You-
Literally
do you
all
think-
just yelling over each other the whole time.
I'm trying to have a civil conversation, and PB just jumps in and like goes at people's throats because he wants to be right every single time he speaks.
Go ahead.
Did the Jaguars get better this year? They have all this money, and they just threw money
Yeah.
around at
They
paying
100%
Christian
got
Kirk.
better.
Paying Christian Kirk that much money, like
They got better.
But
'cause
you
they
asked if
Doug
they got
Peterson.
better. I answered your question.
They got better
Okay.
because Urban Meyer's not the coach anymore.
okay,
Facts.
but they have all this money, and they're trying to win now mode. Like to your theory,
See, that's
PB, like they should still be building up their team and not just throwing money around at free agents.
Oh, I didn't
Agents,
say
because
they
they
were
haven't.
great moves at all. You asked me, did they get better? And I said, yes. I didn't say they went about it in a good way. The way they paid Zay Jones and Christian Kirk, that was dumb. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think
They're in
they got
different
better.
circumstances than like the Colts and the Raiders, though. Like the Colts and the Raiders have a good enough roster where if you get someone competent at quarterback or add like a really strong piece like a Davonte, that's going to elevate that team into potential contenders, right? Like maybe
I just disagree.
mean,
with it. I don't think they're a contender.
okay, that's fine. But
To
I
me-
mean, like
to me, it's just like
if the Colts make the playoffs versus last year losing in Clown Town and getting knocked out of the playoffs by Clown Town,
clown.
that's a success on the season, I think, in pretty much almost every Colts fan's eyes. Yes, obviously you want to win the Super Bowl, but like I don't know. Whereas the Jaguars are basically at like the ground floor, right? They've got a rookie QB. They need to build around. They won 2 games last year, 3 games.
Mhm.
Like both the Raiders and the Colts were either in the playoffs or right knocking on the door of it. So like they're almost in this tough spot of like, well, you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't. Like if you don't have a top 20 draft pick and you can't get a quarterback or you don't like any of the quarterbacks this year, there's no point in being 8-8 or 8-9, whatever. And that's what a team like the Colts or the Raiders would be if they didn't.
Well, they also
add in
drafted
offseason.
Ellinger. Like,
In
why?
like the
I mean,
fifth round.
They clearly don't see anything.
Yeah.
Like they clearly
They
see
never
him as-
really got a chance. This year could have been like you playing. Let's say you go 4-13. Now you have a really high draft pick. The quarterback draft class next year way better. You get your future, like someone that actually could replace like.
But that's all a crapshoot, dude. Like who knows? Like you could draft like Mason Rudolph with like the 20th
Correct.
pick
You
or
could.
something.
You could,
You never
but
know.
you know what Matt Ryan is.
No, you
But
don't. You know he's a decent quarterback. That's all you need.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So
That's my point.
the goal is to make it to win the Super Bowl every year.
Always.
How do you do that? How do you do that?
How do you do that? You have to know the landscape of the NFL at the time, and you're always strategizing in the future, whether it's that year, this is your go for it year, or it's understanding your situation, and then you go for it in years to come when you can recognize other teams that are going to be they're going to be a downgrade, like the Rams, for example. You know they're going to be worse in a few years. It's strategizing that.
But they won a Super Bowl.
So how long are the Bills and the Chiefs and the Chargers? Like how long do you think those teams are going to be good for?
Well, it's more in your division too. Like it's the Raiders is because it's the Broncos, Chiefs, and so like for example, when the Chargers have to pay Herbert, right? That means they're not going to be like they made so many great signings this offseason. They're going to have to start cutting guys. And at that point, you could have the Raiders.
Mahomes.
What?
The Chiefs paid Mahomes.
And they still have everyone.
The
Right.
Bills paid Josh Allen and then just signed
yet.
Von Miller to 6-year, $120 million.
Yeah, they're in the prime win now, but they're as their team gets older is what I'm saying. They start falling off. That's when you go for it because you will have built the young team that is now in the win now mode while they're falling off. It's like
focus on yourself and you do.
They're
best
trying to
you can
compete
improve.
always, and it'll never work.
But let's steer the ship back to what we came to talk about. All right, free agencies, winners and losers. You know, we had this good dialogue on. All that matters is, did your team get better this offseason? The one team we can't say has done shit, the Saints.
Okay, so you just are trying to cause arguments. If that's what you're saying.
No, but really, free agencies, winners, loser. Who do we got next?
Well, Winston, they signed Winston.
Yeah, but they didn't get any better or worse. I think they probably actually got worse losing their left tackle, and
we didn't have him last year.
Oh, right. Okay, because he only played half the year. Okay. And you also lost Marcus Williams, probably your second best defender. So.
But then we will also have Michael Thomas back. We'll have our full offensive line healthy. Our quarterback won't be a fourth stringer. So
you also don't have your mastermind coach anymore.
Yeah, that's the biggest loss.
That's a big loss. I
don't think the Saints got better this year.
Sean Payton's it's not just like losing like another coach. Like it's not that dude.
It's like Belichick.
He was the biggest loss for sure. 100%.
No doubt.
That's our biggest loss. But when you get a guy like Michael Thomas back in the mix, like, I mean, Jameis Winston was 5-2 throwing to Kenny Stills, Traquan and Marquez Callaway. Now he has Michael Thomas, probably going to get a good rookie in the draft. That's the hope. And then you have way better weapons for Winston. So, I mean, in the division, you're looking at the Falcons who have Marcus Mariota, the Panthers who have Darnold or Malik Willis, one of these guys, and then the Bucks, which have Brady, but the Saints just dominate Brady. So it's like,
are the Saints going to compete for a Super Bowl next year?
This year. Yeah, this year. Yeah. They were dominant last year when Winston was playing. And then, he goes out and then everything collapses when you have your fourth string quarterback out there.
How old is Cam Jordan now?
He's up there. But I mean, we're in win now mode. Like, he's still relevant.
So are the Colts.
No, but we have Jameis Winston. If the Colts got Jameis Winston, I'd be telling you that the Colts are a Super Bowl contender. But you didn't get Jameis Winston. You got Matt Ryan.
You just value Jameis, I think, a little bit more than the rest of the world.
I do. And that's where the difference is. Like, I think Jameis is an elite quarterback, so therefore it makes sense. But most people don't. So you just got to wait to see.
Okay,
what happens with
can
him.
I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay, so in your mind, you think Jameis is an elite quarterback?
Correct.
Okay.
Him and the rest of the league. That's why so many people were bidding on him.
That's my thing. If you think GMs, obviously everyone does their due diligence. Like, do you honestly, if Jameis was this like elite
he's off
prospect,
an ACL tear, there a lot of GMs, that's
so
not.
So is Robert Woods, and like the Titans still traded
And
for him.
for what, like a 6th-round pick? Yeah, not much.
Okay. PB, all I'm saying is like even when he was a free agent, he had nowhere to from Tampa. He had nowhere to go. Okay, he sat behind Drew Brees. Okay, you sit behind Drew Brees for a year and a half, and you think he just becomes this protege, and like
he gets LASIK. Correct. Yeah, that's a big thing when you're a quarterback and you get LASIK after
LASIK is what did it.
you said you were legally blind, and yeah, that's pretty big.
okay. All I'm saying is if he was this elite talent, I think he'd been getting
We'll see
more offers.
Again,
I mean,
that'll just be a time will
I
tell.
I just don't understand like where this. There's a lot of tape on him.
I'm looking back at these first. What was it? 5 games, 6 games he played.
Yeah, he threw like what 13 touchdowns and like 3 interceptions. He was like the best quarterback in the red zone.
Bro, he was like put up 148 yards
and 5 touchdowns,
111 yards, 128 yards.
He was incredibly efficient.
I don't know.
If you look, I show you his expected points added as a quarterback in the whole league. He was top 5. Only like
okay, but that's like a very small sample size. Like that's like assuming he keeps that like pace.
I mean, he was doing that against some great teams though.
Like, how many yards a game?
He lost to the Giants. He lost to the Panthers.
The Giants, he did not. That wasn't. If you watch the game, they were up the entire game and they pulled Winston after he was dominating, and then they lost. That was like a
dominating.
Pulled him because he was dominating.
17 for 23, 226 yards and 1 touchdown in a game that went to overtime.
No. But he did that in like a half. They pulled him, and then they just didn't play him the rest of the game. It was a very strange game. The coaching was doing some weird stuff, and that's why we lost. But we're going on a long time about Winston. We still have to get to Allen Robinson, who went to the Rams.
Which is, I mean, I'm not surprised. He wanted.
Finally, he's in
I'm happy for him.
Yep.
We'll see if he could bounce back. He did great during those Trubisky years.
Yeah, they're gonna fill him in that.
Matt Nagy kills careers, so let's see if he could find his spirit again.
Yeah, they're gonna put him in that Bobby Trees role. He's gonna get a lot of targets.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think it's probably good. He's a little bit younger, maybe a year or two, but
I think he's gonna be probably fantasy
healthy at least.
Top 24, maybe or top 36. He's like a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 2 or 3, I think, in fantasy.
Yeah, I could see wide receiver 2 upside for sure, especially if they don't keep OBJ. If they keep OBJ, there's just not enough ball to go around between him, Kupp, and these guys there.
I think OBJ goes back there on like another 1-year deal.
I don't see him leaving at all.
Yeah. I think he could go to the Chargers,
especially after trading Robert Woods. No, the Chargers don't really. They just pay. They have Keenan Allen's getting $20 million a year, and Mike Williams is getting $20 million a year.
Mike Williams got a huge deal.
Yeah, he's like
even though like compared like Christian Kirk got more money than Mike Williams did.
I think that's just because like Jacksonville had to pay because like you got to pay like 20% for playing
premium. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're like, hey, come out to this brand new stadium.
You
LA.
have to.
You know, it has a much different appeal than
right. That's why I don't think OBJ is leaving.
No offense.
Like for that exact reason. That's why I don't think OBJ is leaving.
Yeah, I think he's probably staying. So Cooper Kupp will keep his elite wide receiver 1 status, but A-Rob and Odell like jump around between wide receiver 2 and 3. Next one, this one I think could be a big career revival. Coming off the injury, gets traded from Pittsburgh. Juju Smith-Schuster now gets the best quarterback in the league on the Chiefs. I mean, he's like a perfect, I think, pairing with Kelsey. Well, Kelsey's getting pretty old now. He's gonna start.
I think he's their new backup plan and contingency plan for receivers.
It's Tyreek's the one, but Juju I think could easily surpass Kelsey this year. Kelsey is like Gronk's age.
I think it only helps 32, Kelsey because if you think about it, they try to find that number 2 role or 3 role. With like Robinson and
they weren't that.
Well, I know they tried to find that and they're like they couldn't. So like Juju coming in for 1 year
is that
I think
guy.
I think all it does is propel Kelsey to do even better. Like, it's Juju's not a
Old,
guy.
though.
Takes
It-
a lot of attention away.
Yeah.
Whereas
it
like
doesn't-
they didn't like
do you think
defenses didn't have to pay attention to Robinson or Hardman other than on
Yeah.
like the long ball.
Yeah. Do you think like Kelsey was old? He was, the same age he was last year.
Yeah, but things
and he
just
dominated.
escalate. It's just it comes down to like all of a sudden you get injured and you're like, oh, and that was
Well,
there,
yeah.
and you didn't see it in the past, but that was like the start of the major decline.
Yeah, but everyone gets injured, and he's such a smart player, anyways. Like, he doesn't really take that many hits. I mean, yeah, he's a tight end, and he blocks and he takes hits, but like when he's like receiving, like he's pretty good at like maneuvering around and like getting down or like whatever.
I don't think he's the tight end one anymore for fantasy. That's my.
I still think he is.
I think you have
when you have Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. I think you are.
I think you have to put probably like Mark Andrews or maybe Darren. Probably Mark Andrews might be the tight end one right now.
I mean, very well could be, but I still think Kelsey has a couple more good years left in him. And that,
Not
yeah,
a
he's
couple. You think he's gonna what tight ends play till they're 35, 36?
He's not that old.
He's 33.
Who's the
Okay.
guy in the Chargers? Antonio Gates.
Yeah, and he was dominant for a
Ever
very
heard of him, PB, or was that before your football time?
When did he retire, Nick?
like he was
Like
old.
last year, probably.
Him
Tony
and Algie-
Gonzalez.
He was
Ever
not
heard of him?
he was not his dominant self when he was 34, 35 years old. I'll tell you that.
I would like to see you
Phil
tell
Rivers
us the
was
cheat
chucking
downs.
the pigskin to
Yeah.
Antonio Gates when they were both like 50. I swear.
So I mean, that's maybe you think he's tight end one. But I think there's a little bit with Juju going there. You almost have to downgrade Kelsey a little bit. Like Juju's going to command a much better target share. He's going to play the slot, which is like I could
I think
see
it
Mahomes.
affects Tyreek more than it affects Kelsey.
Yeah, I think it affects
Agreed.
both of them, but at least Tyreek gets. I think he gets opened up a little more having Juju because they can't maybe like bracket and double them as much. So that could help Tyreek's long ball. But yeah, so that's Juju. Next one, well, we already Chris Godwin staying. DJ, I mean, there's not really that many more. DJ Moore got an extension. I mean,
Fournette pod is back with.
oh
the
yeah,
Bucs,
Fournette
too.
staying, so he probably got to consider him an RB1, right? Like with his
Yeah.
target share.
Yeah.
Did Jones leave yet? Or they?
No,
is
I
he
mean he's
still there on a rookie?
it's Ronald Jones. Like
Well, what do we
Bruce
think
Arians
about Money Mitch
hates
to the
Ronald Jones
Steelers?
so much.
Mitchell Trubisky just.
I don't mind it.
We'll
I-
see what. Yeah.
So, PB, do you think that was a good move? Because I think the Steelers should probably just blow up and not compete for the next.
yeah, but what did they
decade,
pay
too.
Mitch Trubisky? He's not getting a lot. That's not that you can still blow it up. You're not paying Mitch Trubisky like they're not like signing him to like anything long term. They might draft Malik Willis. Like they could be getting one of these rookies.
Yeah,
He's just kind of
we'll
there.
see.
Yeah.
I think
The
he's going to
Steelers
be
are-
good. Actually,
You think the
I think
Steelers will be
he's
good?
definitely an upgrade. I think
Got a
he's
better
100%
record than
an
Deshaun
upgrade.
Watson.
Yeah, I saw that.
Better career record.
That's crazy. But
Just a
you
fact.
actually think the Steelers are going to be good, Nick?
I think they're
that
going to
they got
compete.
better this offseason.
I
I
think
think the
they'll
Steelers-
compete.
I think the Steelers are going to be like atrociously bad.
I would say Mitch is an upgrade from Big Ben these last couple of years.
I mean,
I don't think
but
Tomlin
I could see that,
is
but
ever
I'm
gonna
just talking
field a
about
team
just
like
strength of
that.
schedule. Like I just with how
Their
gr-
defense
like,
is scary as all heck.
I don't
their secondary is not that good.
I don't think they're going to be great by any means, but they'll compete. I mean, it's the Steelers. Like they always that pretty much top to bottom that AFC North always
North.
competes. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
they
four
got
of those
Miles
teams.
Jack on
It's just-
defense. I mean,
It's
yeah.
just crazy how
TJ Watt's
how
not
much
going
better the AFC got this
anywhere.
offseason and how much worse the NFC or worse or the same the NFC got. Like that's what makes it so hard, I think, in that AFC. But
But you got to play the games, You
yeah,
gotta
I'm just
play the
talking about
games.
what I think. I think the Steelers are going to be like
No, I know.
at
I
best a
don't think-
500 team.
Yeah, I mean, but with Tomlin as their head coach, I think they have a shot to be I mean, 500, maybe a little bit better. Probably like the same record as they were last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cordero Patterson staying in Atlanta. I mean, who knows? He might be their playing
Quarterback,
quarterback
too.
with Mariota. But I could see them feeding him a lot just because it's like,
The fact that he's still
What do
even
we-
in the league, it's crazy.
well, I guess with the Falcons, now that Mariota's back, I mean, we know he's a dual threat. So like fantasy wise, like if you're doing best ball drafts early, like he's probably one of the best, like everyone's going to overlook him. Like at the end, like if you're doing best ball in like the 19th round or something, he's probably the best option because you're going to get the rushing upside.
Yeah. That's
Like
about
that's
it.
like best ball stuff. Like I don't think you're drafting him in like redraft leagues, but
No.
for like last round best ball picks, I think he's pretty good. Raheem Mostert, like I mean, some like there's some muddy backfield to Chase Edmonds in Miami. I guess we could. This isn't fan. Well, I guess it is a little bit. The Bengals offensive line, like the Bengals have quietly had one of the best off seasons in my opinion. Like their biggest weakness, their offensive line, kind of what the Chiefs did after that one Super Bowl. They just kind of rebuilt it. I mean, they signed like 3 studs from they got Alex Kappa from the Bucks. They got Lyle Collins from the Cowboys, and they got that guy from the Patriots. And
Cathedral
then
grad.
What's that?
Cathedral grad. I
Oh, he
graduated.
was. What was his name? Ted
Tech Harris.
Yeah. So they got those 3 guys, and then they already had Jonah Williams, who was pretty solid. It was just like their left guard that was really weak. So, I mean, they completely revamped that O-line already.
And they had to.
They had to, and
the number one
they
asset.
did. They put everything into that, and now you have
Now they have zero excuse.
Yeah,
I mean, they're going to win 7 Super Bowls.
They just need to sign probably
easily.
they released
Maybe
Trey
8.
Waynes. They just need to sign like a defensive guy, like in the draft. But yeah, their team is incredible. So, I think that's an upgrade for Joe Burrow fantasy, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, pretty much the whole offense. Joe Mixon
for sure. Yeah.
Mixon is the big winner there.
Yeah.
Although he's going to start hitting his regression years.
Yeah. Joe Mixon will start falling off a cliff. I don't know. He's kind of.
They got to find someone to replace him because P. Ryan ain't it. That guy's like 48.
No, Joe Mixon's actually 25. I didn't even realize that. Wow. That's everyone. I don't think. Yeah, all the other ones are like super minor pieces.
Yeah.
But
it's about it for today, Mark.
It's about it for this.
It's certainly been a madness of March. So, NFL held up to its name for sure.
Yeah, this is a crazy month of NFL, and we'll do an episode breaking down a little bit more of the NFL draft in April. So,
breaking news: Armstead just signed with the Dolphins.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy, it's another great addition for the AFC. Love to see it.
Okay, let's end it.
All right, well, that's it for this episode. We'll see you for the NFL draft episode.